Biologics, life-changing medicine or something to fear? And can a specific diet really cure an autoimmune condition? AxSpA patient advocate Michael Mallinson is back with us to tackle the anxiety surrounding medication and the dietary myths that flood our social feeds. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. Provided in this podcast should not be considered medical advice. We encourage all listeners to consult their healthcare professionals for medical concerns. Thank you. Welcome back to another episode of AS Info Share. We're back once again with Michael Mallinson, a dedicated patient advocate for the Axial Spondyloarthritis community. In this episode, we will get into the fear of biologics and we'll talk about some dietary myths. Before we start the conversation, a quick favor. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music, please follow the show so you never miss an update. You can also find us across social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Reddit, or visit asinfoshare.com for deeper dives and community resources, including product recommendations for those dealing with the condition. If you find value in what we're doing, consider supporting us at Buy Me a Coffee via the link in the show description, notes, or comments. And please, leave us a comment. We would love to hear from you. Now, let's get back to the show. You had mentioned people are kind of reluctant to use the medication, and many patients are often prescribed either biologics or JAK inhibitors, but they're scared to start these medications because of what they believe are like the bad side effects. And when they go to certain Facebook pages, they're talking about all the side effects about these medications. When people are afraid of the medication, what can you tell those patients that are fearful of side effects?
I've never been on a biologic myself until today.
Oh, really?
I've just started on a biologic for all my nasal problems.
Oh, wow.
And when you read the side effects and stuff, it can sound scary. Yeah. But those side effects affect less than 5% of the patients who take the drug. There's a risk-reward in taking any medication, right? So what is the reward compared to the risk? And if patients really want to know what the risk is, they need to go to some of those reliable resources that I was mentioning, like ACR presentations or PubMed publications, and they will find the evidence is very, very gratifying. People say, I'm scared of cancer with biologics. You needn't be. There is no difference between the risk of getting cancer on a biologic compared to not being on a biologic. So why be scared about it unless you want to walk around being scared of getting cancer when you're not on a biologic? It's not worth worrying about it. Right. So I think education is the thing, is to really talk to people who've been on the drug and have an experience with it. Read up as much as you can in the medical literature about it. Don't listen to TikTok and other alarmists, and just be aware that the reward is that the disease can be managed with these medications. It can substantially reduce your pain. Not always. Seems to help for some people, but not all people with health. It certainly stops or drastically slows down progression of the disease, so you don't have to walk around like spondylitis of old, all bent over and stuff. And it can allow you a perfectly normal life. I know people who've been on biologics for years, and they're living very productive lives as lawyers and stevedores and what have you. They're a wonderful drug, they're a modern miracle, but as you mentioned earlier, you have to take that holistic lifestyle approach. Yeah. You have to exercise, you have to eat healthy, you have to be educated, you have to belong to a patient support organization as well. But drugs are the foundation of that. So I would say, be thankful you live today. When I was diagnosed, there were no biologics.
That's what's so great about today, is that there's so many different types of medication that if you are having a side effect on one, there's another type that you can go to. And there's a lot more coming, from what I understand as well, new methods.
Well, there are, yes, yeah. Yeah. So to people who are scared of going on biologics today, I would say be thankful.
Yeah.
You didn't have that choice 30 years ago, but now you've got several different biologics. You've got JAK inhibitors, and more coming online all the time.
And I don't hear much about people who have had, I mean, you hear about people who had small side effects, like, oh, it made me a little sick, or this happened and they switched to something else or something else. But I haven't heard any really bad side effects, like cancer or anything like that, from any patients that have been on it for a long time. What I do hear is the reverse. I hear people who say, well, I went on this diet and I did this and I did that, and after a while the AS caught up to me and now I'm regretting not going on to the medication. That's what I hear more than people saying, oh, I wish I didn't take the medication.
I agree with you 100% on that, because I've seen a lot of that, people saying, well, I wish I could have gone on, or I wish I did go on biologics earlier.
Just speaking of that, are there any specific lifestyle or dietary myths in the AS community or AxSpA community that you believe are false?
Just about all of them.
All of them, right? The carnivore, the gluten.
In fact, I will say all of them. I'll be categorical about that.
Yeah.
I know, for the reasons that we talked about earlier, I know that people are always looking for these alternative and natural and diet ways of managing their disease. And one that particularly comes to mind is the low-starch diet. Totally unproven. No evidence that Professor Erbringer, his work, was ever replicated, so people are doing this. Lifestyle, yes, as we've discussed, you need to be exercising. You need to build exercise or activity into your everyday life. You need to eat a healthy, balanced diet. There is no diet that is recommended for axial spondyloarthritis. It's just important that you eat a healthy, balanced diet, which is beyond a lot of people. I'll come back to that in a moment. And the other lifestyle thing is that you have to pace yourself. You have to know your limitations. You've heard it all the time that people say, oh, it's such a beautiful day. I went out and I was digging in the garden all day, and now a day later I feel like crap. I can't move. I'm stiff all over. Well, sorry, you overdid it. You have to learn to pace yourself, not just in overdoing it physically, but in everything. We suffer from brain fog, we suffer from anxiety, we suffer from depression. So pace yourself. So that's all lifestyle, I think.
Yeah.
When it comes to diet, I'm a proponent of eating a healthy, balanced diet. And my own theory about why people seem to do so well on diets, particularly the low-starch diet, is that they have probably never before spent any time thinking about what they were putting in their mouths. And all of a sudden, they're cutting out starches or sugar or dairy. Well, of course you're going to feel better. You shouldn't have been eating those things in the first place.
Yeah. It's probably because they've been, and I'm guilty of it as well, of an overabundance of those things. So by cutting back, you're actually getting more towards where you need to be versus, like carbohydrates, especially here in the States. I don't know how it is in Canada. It's everywhere. It's like in every meal, and it's almost like it's hard to get away from it.
Even the food that you have is overly processed, and chickens are washed with chlorine and all these other horrible things, So I think it is very difficult. But don't overlook the placebo effect as well. When somebody starts feeling better, they think, oh, wow, this is great. I'm in control. And a lot of it is about controlling their disease through adopting a diet because they feel in control of that. But there's a huge placebo effect there as well. I'm doing something to control my disease, therefore I'm feeling better.
Right.
So, I'm a big skeptic about diets and supplements as well. If I can talk about that for a second.
Sure.
I mentioned earlier that people are cynical about the big pharma and all the money that they're making. Do you know that in the United States alone last year, people spent $70 billion on vitamins, supplements, etc.? These are all prepared, packaged up and sold without any regulation whatsoever. You don't know what's in the bottle. You don't know what the proper dose is. You don't know what it's supposed to do. You don't know whether it's going to interact with any of your other medication or herbal supplements or vitamins or what have you. It's all a big scam to my mind. And yet people spend a fortune on it. And then they turn around and criticize Big Pharma. It's senseless to me anyway.
No, I agree.
I hope I don't sound too strident about that, but
no.
There's a lot of people.
Well, everybody's wishing for the miracle pill or the miracle diet or the miracle whatever it is, and sometimes it's beyond that. It's like I said, it's a little bit of hard work where it's a full approach, eating right, getting your exercise, taking the proper medication, and being aware of yourself.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. And sometimes that's a lot of work. So people would rather just take a pill, take a supplement, do a certain thing and think that it's going to fix itself right off the bat, but that's not always the case. And there's too many people promising that fix.
Yeah. There's a lot of charlatans out there as well as scams. So I don't know. Just going back to something you said earlier, the question was, what would we advise newly diagnosed patients? I would say that very categorically that just taking your medication isn't going to do anything for you.
Right.
It requires more of your input than just taking a pill. People don't want to hear that.
Yeah, a full rounded approach is what it takes. That was AxSpA patient advocate Michael Mallinson. We're actually not done yet. Make sure to join us for more, where Michael and I will discuss the critical role of mental health and the specific, often difficult, diagnostic challenges women face in the AxSpA community. Thank you for tuning in. If this episode helped you, please give us a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs it. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when we drop new content. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave us a comment below. We'll see you next time. Thank you.